Hello everyone, in this tutorial I will teach you how to use Google Maps API to show user location on a map and Places SDK for Android to search nearby places. This can be very useful if you are working on an Android project like a ride-hailing app or some online food ordering or any other online shopping e-commerce app where you want to get users location and show them search suggestions for nearby places or some address suggestions. Before we get started, let's have a look at a demo project that I've already prepared for you so that you get an idea what we'll be learning by the end of this project. As we go through the project, I'll be pointing out some points that you need to remember that we have to implement. First of all, some of you may know that Android 6.0 or Android Marshmallow introduced the concept of runtime permissions where the user needs to allow the permissions for the dangerous permissions that are related to users contacts, location, storage, etc. We need, as developers, we need to request the user to allow such permissions. Only then we'll be able to use those permissions and perform the required actions. So first of all, we'll have to implement an activity that will show the user some message, and so that if the user grants the permission, only then we move forward. As the user grants the permission, clicks on this button, they'll get a system designed dialog for the permission. When they click allow, then the user will move to a maps activity where you can see as the activity loads, it's showing the current location. So this will also be a part of the tutorial that we have to load the map, show the current location, and one more thing that you'll notice is that you see a search bar on the top. As the user clicks, the state of the search bar changes. You see there is a navigation icon on the left and search icon on the right. As the user clicks on search a place, you can see there is a back arrow and a cross. Another thing about this search bar is as the user types, user can see suggestions starting from those characters. This will be done through the Places API. You see, as I type, as I select on any suggested location, place, our map will move to that particular location. At the bottom right, you can see a My Location button that is the built-in for Google Maps. When the user clicks on this, map will move back to the current location of the user. Another thing about this button is that if any of you have already worked with the Google Maps activity, this button is at the top right. So another point will be to move it from the top right to the bottom right of the activity, because if it is at the top right, it will be hidden behind this bar that we would certainly don't want. Another view, another element that you can see on this page is that as you move the map around, this marker, this icon stays in the middle of the map, allowing user to place it anywhere, and so that we can use that particular pinpoint for our business logic and anything we want to implement for our particular app. At the bottom of the screen, you see I have added a Find Restaurants button. This only actually depends upon your app, what kind of app you are developing. It is some shopping app where user wants to confirm a delivery address, or is it a ride-hailing app where user wants to uh, confirm a pickup location or some destination location. So this button all depends upon your app. When user clicks on this current location button, move it back. Another interesting effect that I have added to this screen is as user clicks on this button to submit the location, you see I have added some ripple effect showing that is a kind of searching. It is also optional, but it gives a nice look and feel to your app. Another thing that I want to point out in this demo is, what if user's location is turned off? We have to handle this scenario in our app as well. If the location is turned off and I launch the app, you see permission activity is shown, this should be shown only once. We'll handle that. As this activity is shown, we'll not proceed further until location is turned on or GPS is turned on. As the user will click OK, location will be turned on and the map will move to the user's current location. You can see here that the location has been turned on and the map has moved to this location, the current location basically. Let's get started with this. Before we dive into the Android Studio project, first of all, we need to register our project in the Google Developer Console so that we can create or we can receive an API key that we'll use to authenticate our project and use the service provided by Google. This is the link that you need to go to: developers.google.com/places/Android SDK/intro. Here you will see a get started button. You click on this. This pop-up will open. Here you have to click maps as well as places. As I told you, we'll be using the maps as well as the places API to achieve this task. Click on continue. Here you can select your already existing project or you can create a new project. If you click new project, you just need to provide a name for your project. You can click I'm writing places project, enable billing. You see here it is written enable billing. One important thing I would like to tell you about this is that you need to have a valid debit or credit card in order to use this service. As long as you stay under some quota, under the limitations provided for free usage, you will not be charged a penny, but you still need to provide a valid debit or credit card in order to receive the API key. If you do not have a valid debit or credit card, you will not be able to go through this process. As I have already added my card to my Google account, so it will not be asking me for the card, but if you have not done so on your account, it will ask you for the card information. You see, my billing account is already created. I click set account and it will use the previous information that I have already used for the billing. As the card is verified, it will tell you that it will enable 12 Google Platform APIs for your project. Click next. Now this will create an API key. Do not try to use my API key because it will not be valid when you see the video. I've copied this and I'll write this on some place. I've pasted it here so that I can use it in the Android project later. Let's get started with the Android project. I will name it as Places project. Click next. API level 14 is fine. We may need to change it to API level 16, but we'll see we have to do it or not. Click next. Empty activity is fine for me. Click next. My first activity will be used for taking permission from the user, so I'll rename it to permissions activity. Click finish. As you can see, the first activity is here. First of all, I would like to set a primary color and a secondary color and a theme for my app as values colors. For the primary color, I'll choose 35B64F. For the primary dark color, I'll choose 289B35, and the accent color is fine. Next, I'll quickly design the permissions activity similar to what you saw in the demo app, replacing constraint layout with relative layout, linear layout, match parent, wrap content, orientation, vertical, gravity, center, horizontal, image view, wrap content, source. Here I want to show the app launcher icon, margin top, or rather relative layout, padding to 32 dp, text view, wrap content, text to permission, request, text size 18 or rather 24 sp, margin top 12 dp, font family condensed, sans serif condensed, text style to bold, and the text view explaining user why we need the permission. Places project needs permission to access device location to provide required services. Please allow permission. Gravity, center, horizontal, margin top 24 dp or 36 dp. This is fine. Outside linear layout, I'll add the button. Wrap content, button width will be match parent, line parent, bottom, true, background color will be the same as primary color, text color will be white. You can do these changes whatever to your liking. Grant permission, text all caps, false. I'll add an ID, btn underscore grant. I guess that's pretty much it for this screen layout. btn grant. btn grant is able to find you by id r.id.btn. As you know, the user just need to provide permission only once. If the permission is already available, then the user does not need to see the screen. We can move directly to the maps activity. So just we need to check here for if the permission is already available. Context compat.check self permission. Need to provide the context dot this, and then the permission will be manifest dot permission dot access file location equal to permission manager, package manager dot permission granted. Here we are checking basically that if the permission is already granted, then we just finish this activity and call return. Calling return after finish is very important. Furthermore, in the Android manifest, we add the permission to access users find location. That will be more accurate as compared to the course location. If the permission is not available, then user needs to click on the grant button, and then we have to show the dialog to get permission from the user. In order to make this task a bit easier, I will use a third-party library called Dexter, which is available on GitHub. You can search it on Google or GitHub. You can write as Dexter GitHub Android library. This is basically a library that makes the process of asking for runtime permissions a bit easier, quite a lot easier rather. First of all, you copy the dependency of this library. Go to the build.gradle dependency section, paste it, sync the project, wait for the project to sync. As soon as it syncs, we'll be able to use this library instantly. So it's done. You call dexter.withActivity permission activity.this dot with permission manifest.permission.access find location dot with listener new permission listener. We have to override 3 functions here, and at the end we have to write dot check. Writing this dot check is very important. In the on permission rational should be shown. You can write token dot continue permission. In the permission denied section, we check if response dot is permanently denied. If the permission is permanently denied, user needs to go to the settings to allow that permission. So we show a dialog dot builder is equal to new alert dialog permission activity dot this builder dot set title permission denied permission to access device location is permanently denied. You need to go to settings to allow the permission. Set negative button, cancel, null, but set positive button, OK. Here we'll take the user to the settings page where user can basically allow the permission again. Dot show intent is equal to new intent dot set action settings dot action application detail settings intent dot set data URI dot from parts package get package name null. If the permission is not permanently denied, then else you show a simple toast that permission denied. When the permission is allowed, you take the user to basically a maps activity. We'll add that first. Right click new, and for this purpose we can select a activity and the basic activity. I would recommend you should not go for the empty activity for this purpose. The basic activity is fine, and I'll call it map activity. I would recommend that you should not go, in order to follow this tutorial, you should not go for the built-in maps activity of the Android Studio. You should follow this basic activity. When the permission is allowed, on permission granted, we just start activity, new intent, permissions activity dot this and map activity dot class. and we also finish this activity. That's it for the permission activity. We'll just test it out to see if things are working fine till here. You can see here the app is built successfully. As we click grant permission, we get this dialog. If we click deny, we get permission denied toast. Click grant permission again, click allow, and then we are moved to the map activity. I click back and I start the app again, which is called the Places project. Okay, one thing we need to fix here is that if the permission is available, here we start activity, new intent, permissions activity dot this, and main activity, the map activity dot class. Now we check the app again. Now when the app is started and the permission is available as we have already provided it, you see the map activity is shown and the permission activity is already finished. So let's move on to the map activity. Here in the content underscore map XML file, first of all I'll replace the constraint layout with the relative layout. And before I design this, I would like to show you as a reminder what design we want to achieve. First of all, again have a look at the demo app. Now, it's a full screen with map showing, this button at the bottom, a search bar at the top. You see there is no toolbar or action bar at the top, so we need to remove that from our app as well. And we have to show a marker here and a location button over here. From here you can go in the activity underscore map XML file. Here you can see the code for the toolbar and the app bar is given. We just remove this. Furthermore, you see that the floating action button is shown. We don't need this as well. In the map activity, you'll see in the Java code, this function is not required. There is no floating action button, there is no toolbar as well. So we remove these. Let's design this. In order to show a map, we first need to add the dependency for the maps. I'll show you the dependency here in a second. Write it as implementation com dot google dot android dot libraries dot com dot google dot android dot GMS, then colon play dash services dash maps colon 16.1.0. Click sync now. It gave me this error. Okay, I'll click install repository and sync project. I made a mistake, spelling mistake over here. It's GMS instead of GMD. Okay, the project is synced successfully. In the content underscore map, you add a fragment tag and give it an ID. Okay, for width match parent, height match parent, give it ID @ ID / map. You have to write name. Name should be exactly as I enter. Google Android GMS maps support map fragment. If you don't do any mistake in this, it will be in green color instead of red. That's pretty much it for this fragment. The next thing we need to add is the search bar that you saw at the top. This one. This is called Material Search Bar. It is a library, third-party library available on GitHub. You can search it like Material Search Bar Android GitHub. On Google, most probably you'll see as first link if you go for the right keywords. Just make sure you see the developer is Man CJ. This toolbar, the search bar is very similar to what you see on the Google Maps. What you see on Google Maps, as well as what you see on Play Store as well. Just copy this section, the Maven repository, copy, and go to your build.gradle. First you need to go to the build.gradle of the project. Here you will see this section, all projects, repositories. Here you have to add the Maven repository, the jetpack.io. First click sync, then you go back to this page, because as you can see, the developer has guided you to go to the project level build.gradle. Now we have to go to the app level build.gradle. Copy this dependency. To the app level build.gradle, and one thing I want to highlight over here is that I use the target SDK level for my apps as 27 as the time of making this video. Many of the developers are not yet supporting API level 28 or 29 because of some reasons. This point is important to mention here because the Material Search Bar version 0.8.2 uses the target SDK level as 28. So in order to make it compatible with the API level 27, we need to use a slightly older version of the Material Search Bar, which is 0.8.1. So we'll not be using the latest version 0.8.2 at the time of making this video, but rather slightly older version. You see here in the beginning, while I was creating this project, I told you maybe we have to upgrade our minimum SDK level to 14. Here you can see the reason. The material search bar library requires that the main SDK version should be level 16, but our main SDK version is 14. So in order to be compatible, here we need to cope up with the material search bar library and shift our main SDK version from 14 to 16. Just sync it now and hopefully it will be compiled without any problem. If it gives any errors, I'll tell you the solution. Okay, another error I found here is the material search bar library is including a dependency of card-view-v7 of version with version 25.4.0, but we are using the support library version of 27.1.1. So we have to upgrade the card view library. Just simple, you press Ctrl D, this current line will be repeated, and click card view here. Click sync now. Then we see if it compiles successfully or Gradle builds successfully or not. Yes, it's done successfully. Again, I would like to take you to the dependency page. Here a sample code is given that you can just copy and paste it in the content_map. Make sure to paste it after the fragment tag, because if you paste it before the fragment tag, it will go behind the fragment tag. As you can see, as I pasted, it's available here. I would like to just make some cosmetic changes to this, some margins and elevation. Margin will be around 16 dp and search a place. I don't want to use the speech mode, so I will do it false. And now empty underscore nav icon enabled. This will be true so that you see this navigation icon on the left side. Then empty underscore placeholder, I will write it as search a place. Another thing that I would like to point out, back to the demo, you see that this search bar has a slight shadow showing elevation from the map. In order to do that, you add elevation. I will be using elevation at around 5 dp. But when I run this, you'll see that the elevation will not be shown. You need to add another attribute, outline provider bounds, and then you will be able to see the elevation. That's it for the material search bar in the design. Now I would have to add a button at the bottom of the screen, and match parent, wrap content, align parent bottom true, text find restaurants, text color is white, and the background will be the primary color. Here I would like to add a bit of margin. These are cosmetic changes and are up to your own choice. Text style bold, That is fine. Let's go back to the demo. Now we have to go for this icon, the marker that you see in the center of the screen. This marker is nothing but an image view with this icon, and here you can show image view with width, wrap content, center in parent, true. I downloaded that icon from flaticon.com. You can use any marker icon from flaticon.com or any other site. Go flaticon.com and search for location pin. You will see thousands of icons. You can use any icon that you like. Here I'll select this icon because I can't find that icon again. You just download the SVG, click free download. It will be downloaded. It is downloaded in my downloads folder with the name placeholder.svg. Come back to the project, click on res and drawable folder, right click new and click vector asset. Here you need to click local file and then this 3-button icon. I'll go to my downloads folder and search for the placeholder.svg. Here it is. OK. Click just next, finish. And now I'll add source IC underscore placeholder at the rate drawable IC underscore placeholder. Why isn't it showing? Okay, placeholder. No, it's fine. Default size for icons downloaded from vector icons downloaded from Flaticon is 24 dp by 24 dp. I would change it to 48 dp by 48 dp height and 48 dp width. You don't need to change the viewport height or the viewport width, just simple height and width. I'm leaving the colors as default. This seems fine. I'll run the app to see how things are going. Okay, the app just crashed. Let's see what happened. Why did the app crash? Error. And here it is. It is unable to inflate the map fragment. Okay, the error is API key not found. We need to add metadata to the manifest. Add the API key as follows. You just go into your application tag here and add a metadata tag. Set the name to com.android.geo.api_key and set value Android value. Now for the value part, we'll use the API key we generated in the first step. This is the API key that I received from Google after enabling the billing for my project. Now I try to run the app again and see it should be working fine now. It crashed earlier because I had missed this API key in the manifest. Just clear the logs and see if it loads fine or not. See, the map has been loaded. Things are looking pretty fine. The icon is a bit large, so I'll change it around 36 dp by 36 dp. These are again just cosmetic changes, won't affect the functionality of the app. One more thing regarding this icon you have to do is translation by -24 dp, so that the bottom of the icon points to the center of the map rather than this should be half of the icon height actually. So as the icon is now 36 dp, it should be now at 18 dp. Earlier it was at 48 dp, then you have to do translation -24 dp. So I run the app again and see if the icon size is fine. If it still feels large, I'll move it to 24 dp again. .36 dp seems fine. Okay, as you can see, the layout is finalized. One more thing that remains is the ripple effect I showed you in the demo. I'll tell you later how to add it. I will have to make some changes in the layout and Java part as well. Before diving any further, at this point I will add the Google Places API dependency as well. Develop Places SDK for Android. From this page you can find the dependency. Go to get started, get the dependency here. This is the dependency for the Places API. This is the latest dependency that is standalone and not that from the Google Play services. It is not part of the Google Play services anymore. If you are still using Google Play services Places API, then you should migrate to this library. Let's see, install repository and sync project. It could not find. Okay. Yes, there is a slight bug in the dependency name on the official documentation. You have to change this to this. Now save and try again. It should be working fine. The dependency should be included fine now. Okay, it's done. In the maps activity, I would like to create some variables that I will be using. Google map, and call it mmap. Private fused location provider client, and fused location private provider client. Basically, this class is actually the map object. This class is responsible for fetching the current location of the device. Then private places client. This class is responsible for loading the suggestions. As you see, the user types the address and the suggestions are loaded. That is performed by this class. As the suggestions are received from the Google API, we need an array list to save those autocomplete predictions. Autocomplete predictions. And I will call it as prediction list. These are the places prediction that Google provides. You'll see this in a bit. Location m last known location. In this variable, I'll be storing the current location or usually the last known location of the user's device. Location callback. This class will be used basically, or this object will be used for updating the user's request if last known location is null. All these variables are related to the Google Maps and the Places API and the locations related. Now I will be adding variables regarding the views that I have added in my layout. It is the material search bar, private view, map view, private button, btn find. This is the button at the bottom for finding restaurants. I'll be adding the ripple background soon. And one more constant I need to add, private final float default underscore zoom is equal to 18. First of all, I'll do define view by ID. I'll be initializing the views and search bar btn find is equal to r.id dot btn underscore. I forgot to give that parent an ID. ID btn underscore find. Currently Android Studio has not registered that ID, so as I build the project it will be available. Now we write support map fragment map fragment is equal to into typecast get support fragment manager dot find fragment by id r.id.map. Basically this is the id of the fragment, just add it in your layout, this one. We find this fragment and load it into this variable so that we can use it for further processing. Call it map fragment dot get map async and you call it this. You have to press alt enter over here and use the second option, make map activity implement on and click enter, and then this on map ready will be highlighted. You just click OK. This callback function will be called when the map is ready and loaded, so that we can perform further actions, whatever we like to move the map to some location, or we need to enable some button, whatever logic we want to implement, we can do in this section. So here we'll be writing code like mmap is equal to Google Map, mmap. Now we can do any customization or settings on the map. Set my location enabled true. Here you'll see it will give you an error saying that this statement basically requires the location permission. So they are asking you that to make sure that you have taken that permission. We are sure because we have already used the permission activity and the runtime permissions, so we do not need to worry about it. We press alt enter and then use the suppress add this suppress lint. Now mmap dot gets UI settings dot set my location enabled true, so that the my location button is shown. As you may remember, or I'll show you in the demo, that the my location button is at the top right by default, but we need to move it to the bottom right of the map. For this purpose, we need to go here, back in the onCreate function, right? Map view is equal to map fragment dot get view. Done. Then come back down to this on map ready. If the map view is not equal to null, then we write this code. Map view dot find view by id r dot id dot, no, not like this. You have to write it as integer dot parse int 1, sorry, slight changes. If map view not equal to null and map view dot find view by id r dot id dot integer dot parse int 1 not equal to null, that is not equal to null, right? View location button equal to view map view dot find view by id integer dot parse int 1 dot get parent then again outside this dot find view by id r.id dot integer dot parseInt 2 this time. And a semicolon at the end. Relative layout dot layout params is equal to just typecast. In order to automatically typecast, you press the opening bracket and press Ctrl Shift space, and then write location button dot get layout params. Basically, we are fetching the layout params of the location button. Then the layout params we have received, we add a rule relative align parent top, 0. Basically here we are removing the align parent top rule of the location button, so that it is no longer at the top of the screen. Add rule relative layout dot align parent bottom, and we say relative layout dot true. Then we add some margins to the right of the button and to the bottom of the button. Set margins. First margin is for left, then top. We just need to add margins at the right and at the bottom. So left margin will be 0, top margin will be 0, right will be 40, and the bottom margin will be 180. The bottom margin is so large because of the button we have shown at the bottom. Find restaurant button. Basically, on map ready function is called as soon as the map is ready. We take this map, load into the mmap function, we enable the location button, and then we just move the location button to our required place. Now the next task is to fetch the user location and move the map to point to that location. But before we do that, before we fetch user's location, we need to fetch, or rather we need to check whether the location is enabled on the device or not. In order to do that, I'll add a comment here. Check if GPS is enabled or not, and then request user to enable it. How do we do that? Location request is equal to location request dot create. Set location request dot set interval. I'm setting it to 10,000. Location request dot set fastest interval to 5,000, and location request dot set priority to location request dot high accuracy. Then we go for location settings request dot builder. New location setting request builder dot add location request to the location request. Basically, we just pass the location request that we created to the location setting request builder. Now we create a settings client. Settings client is equal to location services dot get settings client, and we pass the activity name. Here would be equal sign instead of minus. What you write is location settings response task is equal to settings client dot check location settings builder dot build task. Now there are two possibilities. Actually, this function will check for the location settings. Either the location settings will be sufficient, that the location will be on and you can perform your task, or the location settings will not be on. We have to handle both of these scenarios as follows. We had task.add on success listener. The on success listener will be called if the location toggle is already enabled. New on success listener. And we also add the on failure listener. Map activity dot this and new on failure listener. On failure, we check if the issue can be resolved. If E instance of resolvable API exception, then we do that resolvable API exception resolvable is equal to, you add a bracket, control shift space E, and then resolvable dot start a resolution for result, and here you pass your map activity dot this, and the second parameter you can pass in any number that will be used as your request code for this starting activity. Just make sure you don't, any number you write here, I will be writing here 51, just don't use this number again for starting any other activity. What error we are getting, we need to try catch these lines, so I press alt enter here and use the suggestion surround with try catch. Basically, this line will show user with a dialog where the user can either enable the location or they do not accept it and they do not enable the location. So here we actually need to check for the result that what did the user do. Did the user accept the request to enable the location or did they deny it? So outside on map ready, you create on activity result. Yes. No. On activity result. Here first you check if request code is equal to, I am writing 51. Here you have to check the same number that you wrote here. I am checking if the request code is 51 and if the result code is equal to result underscore OK. Result underscore OK basically means that the user accepted the request and enabled the GPS option on their phone. So if they have enabled it, we need to find, now we can proceed to find user's current location, and then the next part would be to move the map to that particular location. I am creating a function called, this is not a built-in function, I will be creating it, get device location, private void get device location. It is the function, I've created it. This function will be called here, and in this function I'll be writing the code to fetch current location of the device. In order to fetch the current location of the device, we need to use the fused API, fused location provider client that we created, that the variable was created here, but this fused location provider client has not yet been initialized. So we go back to our onCreate function, and here we write mFused API location provider client, and we will write code to initialize this. It's pretty easy. Is equal to location services dot get fused location provider client, and you just pass in the activity name. Map activity dot this. This basically initializes the fused location provider client. As we have initialized this, let's go on and initialize the places API as well. To places dot initialize. For initializing, you need two things. First is the context, that is the current activity name map activity dot this, and the second is the API key that we earlier used for maps. Same API key can be used for places as well. I copy the same API key because both the services have been enabled on this key, and I have pasted over here. These both lines will enable, this line will enable the fuse location provider client, initialize it, and this will initialize the places SDK. Next, the places client is initialized places dot create client this, and one more thing we need to create is the autocomplete session token is equal to autocomplete session token dot new instance. We'll be using it pretty soon, but let's get back to our function get device location. Here we will be using the mFused location provider client to fetch the current location. Basically, we use it to fetch the user's last known location. Dot get last location dot add on complete listener new control space on complete listener, and then here dot add that is fine, we don't need add, we write here we will apply our logic, but first we need to resolve an error. This function again depends on the location permission that we asked to the user in the permissions activity. So this is just giving us an error to warn us or to give us an indication that make sure you have asked for that permission. So here we just, as we are confident that this code will only be executed when the user has granted the permission activity, so we just press Alt Enter and then add suppress lint. This error will be removed. In this onComplete function, we get a task variable. We check if task dot is successful. If the task to fetch the last location was successful, then last known location. This variable has been created above onCreate function is equal to task dot get result. But one more thing we need to check here is that despite the fact that the task is successful, the location fetched by this task in the get result could be null. So if we check last location is not equal to null, if it is not equal to null, then we move the map, basically the camera update factory dot new lat long zoom, and here we write new lat long and last known location dot get latitude, then m last known location dot get longitude, and then outside this bracket add a comma and use default zoom. This is the variable, this is not a predefined or built-in variable. We created this variable at the top with a constant value of 18. And this will actually move the camera to the current location. But now we need to handle the scenario where the last location fetched by the fused location provider is null. Then we need to request for an updated location. We write it as location request. Location request is equal to location request dot create location request dot set interval 10,000, location request dot set fastest interval 5,000, location request dot set priority, location request dot priority high accuracy. Then we created another variable, location callback is equal to new location callback, and just override on location result. I'll repeat this line how you have to write this. Location result is equal to location callback is equal to new location callback. You add curly brackets over here, and then you start to write on location. You get two functions, on location availability and on location result. Use on location result and add a semicolon over here. If location result equal to null, return. Otherwise, m last known location is equal to location result dot get last location. Actually, what we are doing here is that first we tried to get the last location from the fused location provider, but if it returned null, then we create a location request to get a location update, and if the updated location result is still equal to null, then we just return. But if it is not null, then we update our m last known location variable dot move camera update factory dot new lat long zoom and new lat long m last location dot get latitude comma m last location dot get longitude. Then outside this bracket add a comma and the default zoom. Okay. After creating this location callback, you hand this location callback over to mfuse location provider client dot request location updates with location request and location callback. What's the error here? And the third parameter we have to add here is null. Now that it is resolved, you see that we are currently in the location block where task is successful. What if the task, which task? The task to fetch the get last location was not successful. Then we display a toast, unable to get last location. And that's pretty much it about this section. To what we were doing here is that we were implementing the function get device location. Here I would summarize this function. In this function, we ask the fuse location provider client to give us the last location. When the request is complete, we check if the task was successful or not. If the task was successful, it does not still guarantee that it was able to get the location. So we get the location and check if it is null or not. If it is not null, that's great. We move the camera to the location that we received. If the last known location is null, then we have to create two things: location request and location callback. We use these settings for the location request and then the location callback. Location callback is basically the function that will be executed when an updated uh, location is received. And one more thing here we need to do is, after the latest update is received, this is very important, you need to remove a location updates from the location callback. So that we not recursively keep getting the location updates. This is very important to remove the updates if you want to get the location only once. Okay, so we go back a step. We call this function over here and go back to our on create and see. When the map is ready and this okay, you come back to the on map ready function. What we were doing here is we were making some UI changes to the map, like enabling the location button and moving the my location button to the bottom right. Then we checked for GPS here. If GPS is enabled, this function is called. If GPS is not enabled already, this function is called. So when the GPS is enabled and on success, we call the get device location function over here as well, because as the GPS is enabled, we can request for device location here. Now the location fetching related task is complete. We can test this out. Semicolon is missed over here. Okay, we'll test this out and see if the map moves to the current location of the user or not. Next step would be to use the Places API to fetch suggestions as the user types in the search bar. That code will be implemented on search bar events. We'll see how it's done. It's not very difficult. You see, where the map is started, I'll show you the launching of the app again. It's the Places project. You see, the map is open and it's already moved to the location of the device. I close the app and turn off the location and then see if things still work fine or not. And I open the Places project. First we get a pop-up to enable the location. I click on OK and we see first the default map is opened, and then as soon as the location update is received, we move to the current location. Okay, so if you are just interested in implementing the current location on map only, then this is sufficient for you. But if you want to go on and implement search suggestions over here, then you need to keep on following this tutorial, because now we will be working with the Places API. Till now we were working with the Map API and the fused API, fused location provider. Now we will be using the Places client. Actually, just go back to the onCreate function, and near the end of this function, these 3 lines we have written regarding the Places API. The Places API work will be started on the material search bar set on search action listener, new action listener. This function, it is a set of 3 functions that you need to implement. On search state changed, we do not need to do anything on this part, but now on search confirmed and on button clicked, we need to implement these functions first. When the on search state, on the on search confirmed function, right, start search text dot toString comma true null, and last parameter will be true as well. No need to go in detail of this function, what's happening in this. We'll implement our logic up ahead. The on button clicked. There are 3 buttons involved, or actually rather 2 buttons that we need to override. See, this is the navigation button. This will be called, we need to set what action to perform on this icon, and as well as when the back icon is clicked, what action should be performed. For both of these cases, the on button click function is called. So we write here, if button code, which is this one, if button code is equal to material search bar dot button underscore navigation, then what we need to do, I'm currently not implementing it because I'm not drawing any creating any drawer or something like that. Else if button code here is equal to material search bar dot button underscore back, if that is clicked. If the navigation icon is clicked, you can do something like opening or closing a drawer layout or a navigation drawer. But if the back button is clicked, you need to do is material search bar dot disable search. Currently you see that when the back button is clicked, nothing happens. I click back button, nothing is happening. But when I launch this app now and this code will be executed, you will see the result. Now I click search a place, and then when I click back now, you'll see the result. See, search is disabled and it goes back to its original state. After implementing this part, come here and write, we need to do the searching part. Material search bar dot add text change listener new text watcher. Here you will get 3 functions: before text change, on text change, and after text change. I will be implementing the logic in the on text change function. Find autocomplete prediction request. Here is the response, this is the request. and I name the variable as predictions request is equal to find auto complete prediction request dot builder prediction request dot set country. This function is okay, not here. You have to write before this semicolon, you have to write dot set country. This function is optional, but if you do it at the country where this function will be more useful if your app will be used in a specific country. Then you can restrict the search to that particular country. I'm in Pakistan, so I will be restricting the suggestion to PK, and furthermore my app will be only used in Pakistan. That is why I'm restricting it to Pakistan. So here you add a 2-character code of the country. For example, for Australia it's AU, for Canada it's CA, Pakistan is PK. You do not actually, it's not compulsory to call this function, it's optional. Dot set type filter address dot set session token. The session token is the one we created in here. This is the session token that we are passing to the Places API. And dot set query, and for query you write s dot toString, and then you call dot build. As soon as you call dot build, the red lines error will be completed. This is our request object. Now we need to pass this to the Places client. Places client dot find auto completed predictions, and we pass the prediction request we created earlier. Dot add on complete listener, new on complete listener, and this. First we check, here we get a task variable. If task dot is successful, if it is successful, we implement our logic here. Else we not do much, we just log the error. Prediction fetching task unsuccessful. If the task is successful, we find out what suggestions have we received from Google according to the user's query. First we created the request, find autocomplete prediction request. Now we have to do find autocomplete prediction response, and prediction response variable is equal to task dot get result. Now we check if the prediction response is not equal to null, only then we proceed. Prediction list, this is actually a variable that is created above on create function. Here is equal to the prediction response dot get auto completed predictions. Now this prediction list is a list with type autocomplete prediction. This is a custom object and not a simple class, but the material search bar we are using, we need to provide it an array list of string. Otherwise we will have to implement a custom adapter, and that will be a much longer process. But in order to keep things simple, we convert this prediction list into a list of strings. How we do that? I create another list of string and call it uh, suggestions list is equal to new array list for int I is equal to 0, I less than prediction list dot size I plus plus. We check each prediction, and then what we do is autocomplete prediction is equal to prediction list dot get I and add it to the suggestion list dot add prediction dot get full text, and for we pass it null. Why are we getting this error? Okay, at the end we have to write toString so that it is converted to a string. After this for loop, all the predictions will be converted to string and our suggestions list will be ready, and then we will pass this suggestion list to our material search bar dot update last suggestions, and we passed our suggestion list. These are the suggestions that we have retrieved from the predictions given by Google. And now we say if material search bar dot is suggestion visible. Actually, if it is not visible, then we make the suggestions visible. Show suggestion list. This is the part concerned with, this is all the code concerned with searching for places according to user's query. Now we just run it and test if things are working as intended. App started, current location fetched. Click here, search a place, and here I can type anything like Mall Road C. The suggestions have started to load, or I write as Zakaria C or any university. And then now the next part is that when a suggestion is clicked, the map should move to that particular place. Now we implement the click listener for the suggestions of material search bar dot set suggestions click listener, new suggestion click listener. We have here two functions, on item click listener and on item delete listener. We are only interested in on item click listener. When a suggestion is clicked, we need the latitude and longitude of that location, but we don't actually have the latitude and longitude of that location. We can currently we have the place ID of that place, of that suggestion. We use that, we take that place ID, send it to Google Places API, and request it to return us the latitude and longitude. When the Places API returns us the latitude and longitude, then we move the camera to the specific location. This is the two-step algorithm to implement the effect we want. Here you do a few checks. If position is greater than equal to the predictions list.size, then just return. First of all, here we need to fetch the location, the prediction that was clicked by the user. Autocomplete prediction, I say selected prediction is equal to prediction list dot get position. This is the position where user clicked. In the suggestions list of the material search bar, string suggestion is equal to material search bar dot get last suggestions dot get position dot toString material search bar dot set text suggestion. And now we clear the suggestions. Not clear suggestions. When the user clicks on the suggestion, we need to close the keyboard, the soft keyboard that you see on the screen. In order to do that, it's a 2 or 3 line code. Input method manager IMM is equal to bracket control shift space get system service. Input method service. If IMM is not equal to null, then you do is IMM dot hide soft input from window. Right, material search bar dot get window token. And now the second parameter will be input method manager dot hide implicit only. Now we get string place ID equal to the selected prediction dot get place ID. We pass this place ID to Google to give us the latitude and longitude, basically the lat long of the place, so that we can move the camera to that particular location. List place dot field. Place field. Here we actually define that which fields are we interested in, or which attributes of the place do we need. We are just interested in the latitude and longitude, so we write place dot field dot lat long, lat underscore long. Now we create a request, fetch place request, and fetch place request dot builder. Okay, fetch place request dot builder we pass in the place ID and the place fields we are interested in. Click build. Places client dot fetch place and the request that we created. Fetch place request. What we are doing here is we use place ID and place field and passed it to the fetch place request, and then this fetch place request is being passed to the places client that will actually execute this request. Dot add on success listener. As well as here you write dot add on failure listener. First I am implementing the failure function. If e instance of API exception e is equal to API exception dot bracket open control shift space e API exception dot print stack trace int status code equal to API exception dot get status code log dot I my tag place not found e dot get message, and we can also log the status code. That was the failure part, that if the API failed to fetch the request for a particular place. But if the API is successful, the places client is successful in fetching the details of that particular place ID, then what we do is place is equal to fetch place response. So the response dot get place, and we log it my tag place found place dot get name. Now we fetch the lat long of place is equal to place dot get lat long. If lat long of place not equal to null, then we move camera update factory dot new lat long zoom lat long of place and the default zoom, that is 18, and that's it for this function. An error is showing up on this line. Okay, add a plus sign. We'll test it out if things are working fine. Okay, we search place like Bahauddin Zakriya. University. Now I click on this suggestion and see that it has taken me to this road, but there is a slight bug that I had actually cleared this suggestion. You see, I'll try to show you the bug again. As I click the suggestion, the text of the suggestion is placed here, the suggestion is cleared, the keyboard is closed, and then again the suggestions come back. You see, I click the suggestion, I'll do this. You see, the suggestion comes back. So where we write the code for clear suggestions, it's a minor bug. What we have to do here is new. We have to add a delay of 1 second to clear it. Dot post delayed new runnable here comma 1000, so that the clear suggestions code will be executed with the delay of 1 second. This is basically a workaround to fix the situation. First I need to show you how the bug that I have tried to work around will be fetched, and now you see that the suggestion has been cleared. After the suggestion is cleared, one final thing I want to implement is that if the user is searching something, right, and then the user decides to click this my location button, the suggestions should be removed and this search should go into its default state. Currently it's not happening. Click on my location button, the user goes back to the my location button, but the search has not been reset. It's up to you, it's your choice, but I want this search to be reset. Then how do you do that? You go find your on map ready function. Here you can implement it around here. After this task.add-on failure, you write it as mmap dot set on my location click listener, new my location click listener. Sorry, mmap dot set on my location button click listener, not set on my location click listener, set on my location button click listener, new. This function will be returning false. We have to leave it as is. We write material search bar dot is suggestions available, suggestions visible. If the suggestions are visible, we just clear the suggestions, and if material search bar dot is search enabled, we just disable the search. So basically we are resetting the search bar over here. Now I search for some place, and when I click the my location button, you see the search bar is reset to its default state. One last thing I showed you in the demo was when I click the find restaurant button, a ripple effect is shown over here. it is up to you if you want to add it or not. Up till now, the map API and the places API tasks that was our target has been completed. Now, in order to achieve the ripple effect, there are various ripple effect libraries available out there, but the one I like the most is called ripple background library, Android GitHub. Make sure this Skyfish JY, this is the one I'm talking about. As for any of the dependency, you see there are 1980 stars. It's a pretty popular dependency. This is the effect we want to achieve in our app. The ripple background is basically added around some image view or any view you want to attach it to. First, we copy the dependency and add it to our app level build.gradle and paste it here. We change compile to implementation because that is the new standard for Android Studio. It gives a warning if you use compile instead of implementation. Here you can see that they have provided a sample code. You need to wrap the image view around which you want to show a ripple background inside of a ripple background tags or ripple background view. So we already have the image view that is of our marker. We have to wrap the marker image view inside of a ripple background. So I copy the starting tag and go to my content_map. This is the image view that I need to wrap between my ripple background. So before the image view, I pasted the tag here, and now after the image view, this and slash Control W tab. Okay, you see here the ID of the ripple background. These are unnecessary for our case. I'll change the ID of the ripple background and I would change it to ripple_bg. Now I go to a map activity and create a view over here, private ripple background ripple bg, and now I find view by id and ripple bg is equal to find view by id r.id.ripple_bg. This error will be corrected when the app is built. Sometimes Android Studio does this type of bugs and errors. Around the end of our onCreate function, here do btn find .set onClickListener new onClickListener. On the click of this button, what I need to do is I need to start animation on the function. First here, when the btn find button is called, I need to get the location where my marker is currently pointing to. The marker is basically pointing to the center of the map. So lat long current marker location. We will be needing this location to upload to our server, to post to our server, so that we can look for restaurant products or place any orders, anything depending on whatever your app needs to. mmap.getCameraPosition.target. This is basically the center of the map. Then I do ripple bg dot start ripple animation, and then here you can do any API call to your own server, and then when that is completed, then you can stop the ripple animation. Here I'm not going to be doing any string request or any API call to my server, so I'll stop the ripple animation with a delay of 3 seconds. Whenever you want to delay a task, then you write new handler dot post delayed new runnable, and here you write semicolon comma 3000. Here means 3 seconds delay will be available, and after that ripple bg dot stop ripple animation. I do start activity, new activity. Here I would be starting some other main activity. I can create an activity, and it could be a drawer activity, it could be tagged activity, any activity, it could be basic. This will be my main activity. I'll not be doing any further task in this one. Start activity, new intent, map activity dot this, and main activity dot class. And if you don't want the user to come back to this activity again, you can do finish over here. That is also optional. So that's it for today. Hope you liked this tutorial. Keep learning, stay happy.